at Tom Larkin and Dr. Bale's event for oral systemic mastery. You clearly know that ecosystem quite a bit better than I do. And I just thought you were really, really cool and really funny. And you seem to have some really interesting insights about dentistry that I didn't, to be honest with you, expect from a hygienist. And I was like, I gotta see what this lady's up to. So, Joy Davis, ladies and gentlemen, how have you been, dude? How's life?
I've been great. I've like ever since I got back from Dr. Larkin's oral systemic mastery, I've been talking about it. I've been talking about you actually. I was saying like this. I was explaining how you work in dentistry to some of the dentists here, and they're like, "That's wild." And I was like, "That's Ohio, man."
Were you talking about the Medicaid practice, like the
Yeah. I asked a
yeah.
couple dentists, like, so when you're doing these restorations on the right, do you want to like do the scaling root planing too? And they looked at me like I was insane.
Yeah, they were like, "No, we don't do work like that. Come on now.
Yeah,
Our
yeah.
hands are more specialized, you know.
Yeah.
They leave the good cleaning to you."
That's what it is. You can't be good at everything.
Oh,
Um,
I've been trying. It seems to be a difficult road. So Joy, tell me
uh,
like how's life these days? How'd you get into this field? And then like how'd you get into what you're doing right now?
so I got into being a dental hygienist. This is wild, and I think I told you this in Kentucky, but I was watching the show called The Wonder Years when I was growing up, and it was on Nick at Night, so it was old even at that time, kind of. And the main character just he went to the dental hygienist, and he viewed her as just being this like wonderful, angelic person. And I thought, wow, what a way to be perceived. So I thought that's got to be me. I took kind of a long, winding way through college because I'm from Montana and there's not a lot of dental hygiene schools in Montana. So I considered being a nurse, and then I realized I really didn't like working nights, weekends, and holidays. So
Cheers.
back to the right. So back to the dental field. I eventually ended up out in Minneapolis, and I had been a dental assistant prior to this. But in Minneapolis, I just applied to every dental hygiene school in the area, and that's where I ended up getting into dental hygiene school. Um, and I've since met my husband here and gotten married, and I've been here since 2008. So I don't think I'm going anywhere. Um,
Cool.
but
It seems like a lovely place.
it. I mean, as long as you don't watch the news, it's fantastic. It's beautiful.
I was about to
People are
say.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but so I've been a dental hygienist since 2011. It was a very rough time to be a hygienist when I first graduated. Recession had happened, so not a lot of people had dental insurance. So my very first job, I found a dentist willing to hire me to work as an assistant. Um, and this is 2011, and he offered me $15 an hour. And I said, okay, I'll take it. So I started off thinking I'm lucky to have a job. It was kind of like entering into the military when you're right out of school. The school has told you you are so good. You need to demand the highest wage. You are as smart as they get. So that's what I thought until I started looking for jobs. And I mean, as much as like, yes, dental hygiene schools are fantastic and students have a lot of information when they come out of school, but the
They're
fact
definitely
that
better than dental schools. Like hands down. Like you guys get like a proper education.
I mean, yeah, we do spend more than a week talking about x-rays, so there's that. Um, but like you guys, we're not given a lot of information on billing or the business side of things either. Um, so,
Which
but
is
yeah,
like
the
how you
practice
make
dentist I
money.
worked for, he said, "You're going to make mistakes. It's going to cost me money. I'm not starting you out getting paid a lot." Um, and it was true. I mean, I still make mistakes, but now at least I've got they know me a little bit, and they're like, "Ah, she's good for it. It's all right."
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, so a lot of my audience is people that are like high school, college, graduate school, like, you know, young 20s, like they're just getting into their careers, they're just like starting to figure a lot of this stuff out. Some of them are leaders, some of them just are curious. So, tell me about the humility that it takes to get out of hygiene school and to get a job for $15 an hour. And then let's start there. And then I just kind of want to dig into that. Like what were you thinking?
I was thinking my student loan is going to kick in any minute now, and I need to get a job. So I thought at the very least I can get experience. Um, and that's really the only way that you can start is just to get your foot in the door somewhere. Um, so I did, and I stayed there probably longer than I should have, just because I still kind of hit in my head that I was lucky to have a job. And I'll be honest, every job thereafter was just a little bit of a step up because I still didn't have a lot of confidence in my abilities.
So tell me about how that looks and how long did you stick around at that job and why should you have left earlier?
Let's see. I stuck around at that job for 2.5 years, because I had developed trust of the dentist. Um, and I thought, oh, this is good. I have somebody who respects my abilities, which in hindsight, he maybe he did, but he wasn't showing it for the pay, that's for sure.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I just thought I'm lucky to have a job. This is as good as it gets. But then I started to look around and think, maybe I could find somewhere closer to home. Maybe I could get paid a few more dollars an hour. And I did find that position. And that particular job was an office that took pretty much 90% Medicaid. And I thought, this is great. I can get more experience. And boy, did I ever.
Yeah.
And so I was getting, I think at that point, $25 an hour. So I'm going, all right, this is great. And this is 2015. Um, so I stayed there long enough that I eventually was asked to be the office manager too. And I thought, wow, I've mastered everything. But that was an entirely new level of humility, because being in charge doesn't actually mean that you have a crown on your head and everybody looks up to you and you just tell everyone what they should be doing. It actually means that everything is your problem suddenly. And I'm sure as a dentist, if you're a practice owner, you know this, that it is the most stressful position to be in, to be the person in charge of everybody else. Um,
Because everyone else's problems are your problems.
yeah.
And
And if
and you got to
somebody,
be able to parse through that and be like, what do I really need to be doing?
well, and then employees that wouldn't show up for work, and so it's like, forget
All the
what you work
time.
to do. You're going to do their job today.
Straight up. And
So
so you did you go into the office manager position then?
I did, yeah, I did that for 2 years.
Wow.
Um, but every time somebody would not show up, I would have to hop into the assistant role or the hygiene role.
Right.
In addition to having the headache about collections. And like so many, because it's Medicaid, so many complaints to the Board of Dentistry
Oh
from
my
patients.
God.
The practice actually got sued by Delta Dental while I worked there. And
Lovely.
I was the representative for the doctor that went and stood in front of the board. That took years off of my life, I think.
Yeah. And so
um,
talk to me about that process. And do you think, I mean, were they in the right? Like, obviously, you're not disclosing any information in terms of who the office was or whatever, but like, it's always interesting for me to be in public health and to be doing Medicaid and just realizing that these insurance companies really don't take the doctor's side in any capacity.
they don't. They call it the 900-pound gorilla, because it's not playing. Like you have to cooperate with them, but yeah, they don't have to cooperate with you, and they know that if they take away the measly amount that's being paid to you, that you're done for. Um, and I don't know if that was ever even what they wanted to do. How it works for anyone who hasn't been through this before, and hopefully nobody has, is that they will take a sampling. I believe it was like 25 patients, just at random. They would take a sampling and they would look at it and go, okay, there's a cone cut in this X-ray. This root canal, the gutta percha doesn't go all the way to the apex. This tooth that had a root canal ended up being pulled out the next year. They look at stuff like that and then they go, okay, this practice has 5,000 patients. So we're going to, then they do a little math equation and they just decide that, well, we're going to times it by the amount of patients that they have. And then they give you your fee, what you have to pay them back. Um, so it's kind of, it's very unfair. Um, but that's what they figure. So you'll come out of that procedure going, I need to make my notes 10 times longer, which are the little things like saying you gave the patient safety glasses, saying that the patient left satisfied, saying that you answered all the questions and gave the post-op instructions. I mean, it's stuff that we all know we should do, but you got to say it too, or else it didn't happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
So having gone through that, and I'm just curious. I'm a young dentist, and there's a lot of people that I'm gonna end up obviously helping to be able to become owners or operators for these practices. Do you, what is what, how robust should we be making our notes? And like how should I just go through ChatGPT and be like, all right, make these like absolutely airproof?
That's really not a bad idea. And to have it in an auto note form is the best way to go about it. That way it's there. You don't have to do anything to add it. If anything, you need to be able to delete stuff that didn't happen. So I would make it really robust. It's very annoying to have to read back through that because
Oh
a
my
lot of
God.
it, like when I do an oral cancer exam, I have every single thing that I looked at listed. And that makes for a lengthy note.
Absolutely.
But if I
Um,
do it, which I do it, because it only takes one time of missing it to make you really open your eyes and go, I'm never doing that again. I'll always look.
yeah. So you've gone
Back to your,
through. Go ahead.
back to your question, sorry about
Yeah.
if it was deserved or if I felt like the dentist was guilty. Um, I think I really do think his heart was in the right place. You don't go into serving Medicaid population without having a good heart, but you have to produce a lot more than a regular clinic. You have to really depend on your staff. You have to know that a lot of times people aren't going to show up, so you have to overbook your schedule. Um, so I really do think the guy was doing the best that he could, but he's just a human. So, you're going to miss something and you're not going to demand your staff take new x-rays every time there's a cone cut.
Yeah. And so well, I could go and harp on how life is so unfair, but um you've gone through a lot of different aspects of the practice, private practice.
Hmm.
And not only have you gone through them, but you've spent time there. You didn't just get to that level, you actually spent time at that level.
Yeah.
Um
I was at that practice for almost 7 years because I thought I could fix it. And when I left, I felt like I gave up on it. And I've since learned that I ran that race for as long as I could. And now it's not like private practice is easier. It's a different set of problems.
it's so was that not a private practice?
Um, it was, but it like the really won't let you take like half and half. Um, so my current practice is just a PPO practice with the same as other dental offices with the huge dream of someday not taking any insurance.
Classic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
uh,
So you've done this dentistry thing for a long time. What do you think is something that anyone entering the field, what are a couple things that anyone entering the field should probably be thinking about before pulling the trigger?
um, they should be thinking, do you have a genuine interest in this? Because you have to, and you have to think about why you're doing it. If the answer is the money, I, I have devastating news. I mean, yeah, yes, you will get paid, but you have to care deep down about what you're doing. You have to be someone willing to change your mind because, like everything else in the world, dentistry is science based, and it just keeps getting more involved. Like you have to have a commitment to continue learning. You can't just get a degree and be like, well, I'm a dentist. Oh, I'm a dental hygienist now. I don't need to learn anything new. And that's built in with the way that you have to do the CE credits. But I mean, and you have to kind of have your own goals laid out, which is something I wish I could have told my past self. But like say like what hours are you going to work? How much okay doing as far as what's the right thing to do? Because I have been put in situations where the dentist is like, it's okay, just do it, and yeah, you can't. I work too hard for this license.
Straight up. And so you have to have a fairly good moral compass, and you have to
Yes.
believe you have to have you have to believe in your intuition when it comes to right or wrong, which I think is very hard when we're young. I think the hardest
Mhm.
thing when we're young is to know when we're right. And then
Yeah.
you just got to make a lot of mistakes and be like, oh, okay, cool. Um, super cool about actually having a passion for being a continuing student. I think that's I would argue that that's kind of necessary in almost every field. It's just school doesn't really portray that. It's kind of like, oh, you get out of here and you're fine.
Yeah.
Um, which I think is a tremendous disservice to our youth. Um, it's something I come across all the time where they're like, "Oh, I'm on summer break," and I'm like, "Are you reading something? Are you doing anything?" Like I used to chill all the time, so I get it. But now, more than ever before in my life, I am learning stuff like, oof.
Isn't it amazing the fact that learning is free? If you say, you really can't ever say, like, I don't know how to wire a new light in my bedroom. You really have to say, I'm not willing to learn how to do that, because that's the truth. You could go on YouTube, like, you could listen to a podcast. There, you can learn anything.
It's literally how intentional you are, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So talk to me about that. When did you start actually defining those boundaries in your life, or like those goals? Like what prompted you to do something like that?
It was about 4 years ago. I was at a dental clinic where I was reasonably happy. But not a lot was expected out of me. So I was really just coasting. And I had a conversation with dentist, and I said I'd really like to get a raise. Is there anything that I can do, like, to try to make more money so that I can get a raise? And he basically said to me, Joy, there's hygienists here that do the bare minimum. Um, that hardly do anything. There's some that, like, do everything but nothing extra, and then there's people like you that do more. And it really wouldn't be fair if we paid you more to do to do that. And I was like,
Wait, what?
am I hearing this correctly?
How does that make sense? Okay.
Right. So I thought about that for a while, and around that same time, I was a former colleague of mine, mentioned this job, which was this dentist who had, like, some pretty far out ideas. Also, a female dentist, which, I'll be honest, I spent a lot of my career avoiding working for female dentists because the nightmares, like, there's so many horrible stories, like horrible bosses, right? Jennifer
Yeah.
Aniston.
But
um,
but what? Whoa, let's take a step
yeah.
back. What is your perspective on the difference between male and female dentists? Because you've probably worked with way more dentists than I have. So what
Well,
have you noticed?
my perspective then, was that male dentists are just even keeled. They're not moms, so they're not overly affected by the stress of what's going on at their house, and they less moody was what I thought about male dentists, and um,
Hmm.
not really high maintenance. Um, that's what I thought. Now, currently, I work for a female dentist, and I'll probably always work for her, at least in some regard. Right now, I'm full time, but I'm just so impressed by her ability to change her mind once she learns something new. And it's not just about dentistry related stuff; it's about, like, stuff in the world too. Like, she takes in information any way possible all the time, really mulls it over and does additional research, and then decides how she feels, and she'll share it with me or share it with the patients. And I just really, really respect that. And it's kind of become my mission since I met her 4 years ago, that I too will keep learning. Really, just because I have the support, I have her support to, if I come up with, like, I remember mentioning ear polishing to my previous employer, and they were like, ah, that doesn't work. That'll never take off. Um, and I don't think they're doing it to this day, which is, it's legal. You don't have to do the highest technology in dentistry or in dental hygiene to be legal. Um, but
Well, I
it
mean, you
just
could
turned me
basically
on
do
whenever I
the
was looking
worst
for
thing.
your cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're currently working in a place where you definitely respect who you work with more than
Hmm.
it sounds like you work more with this person than for
Oh my
this
gosh.
person,
Yeah. Like,
which is
I
super cool.
feel I feel like I'm kind of like telling her, okay, what I saw, here's what I think. And there are dentists in my past that have been like, you cannot diagnose. You can say this looks suspicious, and that's it. Um,
Which is ridiculous. Like,
it is, because, I mean, it's an extra set of eyes. Like, I look at the teeth, she looks at the teeth. We show the patient pictures of the teeth. We have an AI system that looks at their x-rays because really any extra set of eyes is beneficial. And any question that's brought up is beneficial too.
Let's I just wanted to touch base on that question again. The male versus female dentist over the course of your career, is there any like any overarching things that you actually have observed that you like kind of are holding on to, or are you just like no, whatever?
Um, this is probably going to come off wrong, but I've never come across a situation where the spouse is the office manager and it goes well for anybody. So
Yeah,
even
be
if they're a
wise.
very nice person, it just isn't a good situation.
Yeah. You don't want the household leaking into the business. Fair enough.
Right, exactly. Um, yeah, I mean, and also some of the male dentists can be incredibly out of touch with situations too, like emotions of the office, and sometimes that's a benefit, and sometimes it wasn't, you know. And
Talk to me about it. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't mean to say
No,
anything
no, no, no,
negative
go ahead.
about men or women, but it is just stuff that I've noticed.
Yeah. And frankly, like I'm getting wisdom from you, right? You've been in the field longer than I have. You've been in a lot of different situations. I've only been in one. And so first of all, it's an honor and thank you for taking the time to
Oh
talk
God,
with me.
thanks for having me.
Oh, I was stoked when you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna get on this podcast." I was like,
I
"Yes,
mean,
finally."
I've been telling my patients, I'm like, I'm going to be on a podcast. And they're like, whoa, I'm going to listen. So probably going to have a big spike in people listening.
Sounds lovely. I'll send you the link and the raw and everything. So, okay, talk to me about this goal stuff. Let's go a little bit more into it. So, the 4 years ago, you were like, okay, this dentist clearly val. I don't know if there was any clarity there.
I
That was
know. I
just really
thought
strange comment.
that was a really long, drawn out way of saying no. This
Yeah,
is what it is.
like I guess they just don't care about
Yeah. Well,
quality.
in
I'm not sure.
hygienists, I mean, like, I don't know if it's like this in Ohio, but hygienists are like a really limited commodity here. So if you have a hygienist, you really just want them to see patients as often and as fast as you can. Like that's the whole goal. Because dentists, I mean, dentists don't want to do hygiene, right?
Apparently, yeah.
So I think the idea that I would want to do something more, maybe like take extra time with the patient, was a big turnoff. So
Fair
yeah,
enough.
I mean, the math was mathin', right? We had 50-minute appointments. We were cranking them out like a system.
We'll get into the hopefully the money aspect of dentistry in a second, but okay, so you felt this twinge of confusion. You're like, wait a second, this is strange. And at that time, I mean, did you sit down and write it out? Did you like go for a walk? Like what was it that you're like, okay, here we go.
Well, I do my deepest thinking when I'm either mowing the lawn or I'm knitting. So
Hmm.
that's in lieu of writing it down. And also I bounce things by my husband and also my mom and dad too. And they're more like frank. They're like, no, that sounds stupid. Find a new job. And I'm like, well, it's not that easy. I still really like these guys. And um yeah, so it was like really perfect timing that a former colleague recommended this other position. We're looking for a hygienist, and even like I went there and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like it, but I'll go see. I was still like clinging to my old job because it was easy.
Hmm.
um, so launching out of that easy position helped me realize more what I wanted. And actually, when you said write things down, I've only very, very recently started doing that.
Hmm.
I bought a notebook earlier this year in this little boutique in Florida, and it says brilliant ideas I had while I was drinking wine. And I take it everywhere with me, even when I'm not drinking wine. But been writing stuff down constantly, and it's been really great to go back and reference that.
Where do you want to go?
That's a really solid question. I once upon a time had ambitions of being a dentist, but then again, like the idea of running a business, especially because my parents were business owners too, I thought I don't actually want that.
What businesses do they run?
My parents ran a True Value hardware store my
Cool.
entire life for 32 years when well, not my entire life, but while I was growing up. Um, and the two of them worked together, which I didn't realize how weird that was until now.
Being
seeing
on
us
the employee end.
together. And also just my husband and I trying to do like a home improvement project around the house. I was like, I this would be terrible if we worked together.
It's hard for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of what turned me off about the dental school was um I could do that. But also like it was at the time in my life where like I got married, I wanted to have kids, and so it's really tough to go back to school in that situation. It can be done, and I really am so proud of the people that do it, but I
Blows
didn't
my
do it.
mind. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, so in 2018, I took a course at the University of Minnesota so that I could be an expanded functions dental hygienist. Um, and I did plenty of fillings when I worked in the Medicaid practice, but I found out I don't really like it. Like,
I don't think anyone likes fillings, to be honest,
oh,
including the
really?
people receiving them. Um,
Yeah, I was like, this is I'm just so used to dealing with the outside of the tooth that for me to like carve anatomy on the inside, I'm like, this isn't my jam, and it's okay to do that because you like we said earlier, you cannot be good at everything, um, and it's kind of freeing to admit that.
I just do you listen to Sadhguru at all? He's he's
No.
he's like this Indian guru dude who Sadguru. He talks about spirituality and like life and stuff.
uh,
Fascinating perspective.
I wrote it
Um,
down.
yeah, he's big into us admitting to ourselves that we don't know anything.
Oh,
And I think it's a very freeing way to live life, and it kind of makes sense,
yeah,
to me at least, and
yeah.
seemingly to you. So you saw your parents working really really hard. I'm sure having quite stressful times, especially bringing the business home and having dinner discussions about stuff, and
Oh
probably yelling at each other about some
my gosh,
stupid
were
stuff.
you there?
Well, I mean, I just I know.
I mean, they were like as a parent now I can look back at them and be like, wow, they should have been screaming and yelling like every day. And they like I can probably count on one hand the time that I ever heard them argue. And
Incredible.
I don't know how. There must have been sedatives involved.
Well,
No,
or
but
they had like systems, right? They're like, okay, we only argue over here, away from the kids. Let's go home and have dinner.
they're fantastic. Um, and yeah, as a parent now, I look back and I'm like, wow, I don't know how they did it. And if I could be a fraction of the parent they were, I'll be feeling pretty good.
They
Um,
were or are, because
oh, they
it seems
still are. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
it seems
They
like they
still
still
are.
play a pretty pivotal role in like like the
Oh,
5 people you spend the most time with. That type of.
I try
The,
to call them every day on the way home from work just because it's just good to touch base with them and see what they're up to.
well, they earned your friendship,
Oh,
right? Which
yeah,
is such a lovely thing to have. I assume as a parent is like you've literally earned your kids' trust enough to be like, I want to spend time with you. You know,
yeah.
that's it's I think that's probably one of the greatest virtues that you could have in life.
Oh,
It's hard
yeah,
to pull off. I mean, they know everything
yeah.
about you, and you're the one that said don't do that shit like a lot. So, uh, uh,
There's another goal. I'll write that one down. Hopefully, my friends like or my sorry, my kids like me when I get older.
I'm sure they will. You are literally a joy to be around.
Oh,
Um, so you saw that you were like, okay, I'm gonna go into a field because you saw a show and you wanted to be perceived as a a heavenly person or
just
a
wanted to
very positive energy.
yeah, a positive energy, a bright spot in somebody's day. We're certainly not perceived as the person at the dentist office that people don't want to see for the most part.
It's usually the dentist that people don't want to see, which is the funny
Yeah.
part. Makes
And
sense.
I briefly entertained the idea too of going like becoming a teacher at a dental hygiene school or dental assisting school because dental assisting, I really, really enjoyed it. Um,
Hmm.
I thought about that and I mentioned that to a former teacher that I really respected. And she goes, if you decide to do that, give me a call and I'll talk you out of it. So I thought, okay, Mrs. Hanson, I won't even try to see what you mean about that. So
Wow.
really channeled my efforts into my daily job and just giving each person individual treatment. And another idea that I've had is that it would be great to go into myofunctional therapy because all three of my children have various airway issues that we've been working through. Um, takes kind of a long time to notice something in your own child, which is ridiculous. But I'm
Hmm.
paying forward by looking at other people's kids and going, I think he can breathe through his nose, or if you think that there's a tongue tie or something that's contributing to more cavities, I'm doing my best to recognize that. Um,
Brilliant.
yeah,
Brilliant.
but also you have a limited amount of time, and you really have to decide what you're willing to dedicate to work and to home and just to yourself. Um, and so I put that on the back burner for now.
Yeah.
And
Well,
instead, I'm just focusing on learning all that I can and just kind of seeing where it takes me.
how many
Oh,
kids do you have, Joy?
I have three.
Yeah. You're busy. Busy,
Yeah.
busy lady. Seriously, thanks for spending the evening, just a little bit of time talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
What's okay, let's break out of the dentistry shit.
Okay.
What's something that you're seeing in the world today that you're like, young people have to solve this?
Mm, um, I guess the the one big thing is like the microplastics, the waste. It's going to catch up with us, and just all the toxic things that we put in our body, not realizing that it's toxic. And I'm not the perfect image of health, but the more I learn, the more small changes that I've made. And it's kind of like, have you read the book Atomic Habits? Yeah, where they talk about at the beginning of the book, if a airplane is leaving New York headed for Los Angeles, if you change the direction even 1 degree, it's not going to go there. It's going to end up somewhere else. And that's what you have to be like with your life. Like it'd be great if it was all or nothing. Like starting now, I'm eating a perfect diet with nothing toxic and it's vegan. That's just, it's not very realistic to just 100% make that change, especially when you have a family. But you make small changes over time, it does add up.
So the microplastics, and are you talking talking specifically about nutrition? Like,
Just things that go in our body.
mhm.
So even, mercury fillings and like products, like a lot of the toothpaste on the market right now, like I think they have stuff in them that is toxic, and not just toothpaste, like skincare and stuff like that too. So we need to start paying attention and developing products that don't have this junk in them. Like I actually, when I saw Cheetos on the shelf that don't have the orange color all over them, it kind of like, I kind of thought about it for a while. I'm like, those look disgusting. And then I'm like, why? Because they're not neon orange. Like this whole conversation in my head. Um, so we have to start recognizing things like that. Like, do you need your toothpaste to be blue so that you think it's cleaning your teeth, or like bright white? What
Right?
if it's brown? Well, brown doesn't equal clean, right? you know?
Maybe. I guess there's this tremendous knowledge gap, right? And to your point earlier, we have the ability to fill this knowledge, but if we don't even know what we don't know, we can't ask the right questions.
Right.
So in terms of fixing that specific thing, what's a resource that someone can utilize to at least fairly regularly get that kind of dose of non-toxic reality, I suppose.
How can they find out what's going on in the world? Um, Podcasts is a big one for me. Like if there's any podcast that you listen to regularly that covers a lot of topics, like my favorite one is Diary of a CEO. Um, I learned so much on every episode of that. But then also Huberman Lab too. I really enjoy because and you might not agree with everything. You might think some stuff is unattainable, but the fact that you hear it, you kind of you think about it next time you're faced with a decision. And my husband, who's really not into sciencey type stuff, I've had him listen to a couple, and I'm shocked that he did. And now he's saying stuff like, maybe we shouldn't have as much white in the house. And I'm like, oh, okay.
That's all I had to do. Just put it on while
Right.
he's sleeping.
Right. Yeah. But back to like what I think that younger people need to change is, and I think are doing a good job of this too. It's like there's just so much hate in the world, and it's not based on anything. Like you're not willing to get to know a person before they decide how they feel about them. And like everyone needs to be able to change their mind. They need to be able to intake information, consider it, and then make a decision based on everything that they've taken the time to learn. And that's not really our way of doing things. We make a lot of snap decisions, or we agree with people who we've agreed with since the beginning of time without questioning, like, but is it right?
So there's a sense of jumping to conclusions too quickly. I
Oh
assume
yeah.
I assume that's been a problem for humanity. It's probably been accelerating over time.
Yeah.
Hmm. Probably because there's this emotional attachment that comes from making a decision, right? Like sitting in limbo is kind of uncomfortable.
Yep. Yep.
Whereas making decisions like, yes,
Yeah.
yes, we
It's
will
like
go
the
this way.
the squirrel that can't decide which way to go on the road, it ends up getting ran over, right? Like, you have to make a decision.
And most of the time it depends on what information you have, I suppose.
Yeah.
So we got microplastics, we got toxic stuff in our food, we got potentially too quick to make assessments and not giving people enough time to grow on us almost, or like
Yeah.
around us.
Yeah. Or just unwillingness to learn about stuff that doesn't interest us, that
So
we
this
think doesn't interest
curiosity.
us. Yeah, curiosity. Yeah, actually, that was like one of my very favorite things that was said at the Larkin protocol meeting, was that guy that was talking about the red light, and he said, "I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I am curious." I mean, that 100% was like, I felt that.
Yeah, that's your tribe right there, the curious people.
Yeah,
100%.
I like that Ted Lasso. Be curious, not judgmental.
I love it.
Please tell me you've seen Ted Lasso, right?
Not enough, to be
Oh
honest with you.
gosh. Okay, well, we can cut this podcast short if you need to get to watching it, but
Well, I'm actually gonna look it up. So you wrote something,
okay.
I'll write something.
Okay.
Um,
It's just a great show for humanity. What?
I just yeah, rings a bell. Uh, anything else?
Um, let's see. Um, so where I'm at right now is I work 4 days a week at this private practice, and I really like it because we're able to use cutting edge technology. We use the air polisher. We check our patient's pH. We check blood pressure on everyone. There's always a thorough oral cancer exam. Um, we use disclosing solution on everyone. We use the laser, like LBR, on patients without periodontal disease, just because it helps everyone. Like, there's no one that can't benefit from it. And it feels good to be able to provide that level of service. But I don't work at my practice on Fridays. So I have picked up a few temp shifts here and there at a local practice that takes Medicaid. And that has just been such a great way to stay in touch with what's going on. And even though, like, initially I was frustrated because I would have liked to have all the tools there that I feel like I need to be able to treat them properly. But the more I've been there, the more I've thought, you know what, just like giving them a piece of information that they can realistically use is going to be really helpful to them too. If sometimes xylitol gum can make a big difference, or nose breathing rather than mouth breathing, or taking a little kid to the ENT, like, or like, way to take care of dry mouth that you can order on Amazon, like anything like that. And it's not that it's a self-serving thing, but it just feels good at the end of the day to think that maybe you made a difference for that person. Um, so
That's super interesting. So
yeah,
you have this really high end practice that you're working most of the time, a job that you absolutely love, and you've
hmm
gone out of your way to work 1 day a week at a Medicaid practice, and you're saying that it gives you a tangible sense of like, is it a pulse of like people, of like society that you're getting? Like what do you think that is?
kind of. I mean, dentistry is kind of like the Humans of New York post that, or I don't know if you're still on Facebook, but
Hmm.
just so interesting to meet people and identify, what makes them tick, and see how to communicate with them. So it's allowed me to meet a different type of people. I mean, these are people that have very limited access to care. they generally travel over an hour to come to this clinic. They're not used to having the best care, unfortunately. Um, and they've probably been treated, like, you know, like they're not
Not
bringing in
great.
the revenue that somebody else is potentially. And I think a lot of times they have had things suggested to them because the assumption that they couldn't afford it was there. And and well, that may be true. I mean, there could be someone who looks like they could afford it that absolutely can't afford it. So the bottom line is that that's not our decision to make. If we think there's something that could help someone, we should tell them.
And I think that's incredibly powerful, especially for myself, because we talked a little bit, but I'm building out some things that I'm really really passionate about when it comes to education, in Ohio, and I'm actually working with Tom Larkin, to get it at more of a national scale, which will be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
there's I think there's so much power in us believing that our voice actually matters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I started this personal brand probably about 2 years ago. Sunk a lot of money into it so far, but the way
Yeah.
that I always rationalize it is, if someone can hear this, or someone sees me enjoy talking, and I guess the parts of their personality or parts of their soul connect with either one of us, or maybe parts of it connects to both of us, right? If they hear us say something a certain way, it might end up hitting them in the way that it needed to,
Mm-hmm.
and I have this belief that all of us have something really really important to offer, but the reason that a lot of us don't is because we don't believe it. We don't believe that we have that thing to offer.
Yeah. Which is so interesting because the amount of ignorance being spewed is off the charts right now. So, yeah, why any of us would be afraid to speak up about something that we're curious about or interested in or have learned, because we think that we might sound stupid, or someone might say, "What right do you have to speak on that? You're not a doctor. You just in the podcasts." I mean, the amount of people in my life that roll my eyes, or that roll their eyes, sorry, when I say, "Oh, I was listening to this podcast the other day," and I share it, and they're like, "Oh, here she goes again."
It's like, I I would personally would be very grateful if there was someone consistently telling me about things that they've learned.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like I can't get enough of that. I
Yeah.
wish I was just always learning stuff.
I know.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's more, it makes life more interesting. In my
Mhm.
opinion, it's deeper.
Yeah.
Um, Joey, we should work together to get some videos or some sort of stuff from you that I can spread to these patients, these people that I'm helping. Um,
Yeah.
there's so Bright Smiles Community Outreach Coalition is my nonprofit, and the whole goal is actually to spread these preventative healthcare messages, right? So there's obviously technique, which is like half of it. Well,
Yeah.
nowadays I've been saying technique is actually like a third. I've been focusing a lot more on nutrition because I think my patients could benefit overall more from that.
Yeah.
Um,
Which
actually,
thinks
I'm yeah. Go ahead.
it's not silly for me to come in and say I'm worried about microplastics when really, like, basic basic nutrition needs to be handled before all else. But since the beginning of time, we've been asking ourselves, like, isn't there another way to be healthy besides eating well and
And
exercising? There's got to be another way, a pill I can take.
well, I feel like eating well and exercising are just like raw nature stuff,
Hmm.
and like the rest of it is just us trying to move away from nature.
Yeah.
We're just like, no, we don't. We're
Yeah.
cooler than that.
Yeah.
That's like basic shit.
Well, and the
Um,
doctor tell you, like, I've had one doctor tell me, like, Joy, if you would just exercise 30 minutes a day, you probably wouldn't need to take sertraline. And I was like, uh, is there anything else I can do?
please, anything. I mean,
Yeah.
but there's difficulties in that, right? Like, I'm trying to find time to exercise, but that
Yeah.
means that I have to go to sleep earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe that's your podcast time. You can't listen to a podcast unless you're walking, you know? You have to do the habit stacking thing.
How recently did you read Atomic Habits?
Um, gosh, in order for it to stick in my head, reading or seeing it doesn't stick with me as well. So I listened to that audiobook twice because there's just so much to glean from it each time.
But a very, very powerful text,
Oh yeah,
right? What
still think about it. Yeah.
isn't this so like I started a little book club but 3 years ago at this point because I was just so bad at like holding myself accountable to actually reading.
Yeah.
I actually having a meeting this evening after our podcast. And that was one of the first books we read, and dude, that thing hits.
Hmm.
Like it really, really hits. And I don't there's very few books that have hit me like that have carried through. I think he did a really, really good job in packaging very simple, impactful information.
Yeah.
Um,
The only thing that would turn someone off initially is like he does mention his accolades quite a bit in the first chapter. And so I think some people start reading and they're like, okay, I don't want to do this. But when you get past that, and he has every right to explain how he got to where he is. But yeah, it's just like constant. The entire book is like very interesting, research based ways to change. Like the part in there where they talk about the book, what is it? Something about smoking, and like you can't take
reading the
this
book on
training and then
smoking.
keep
Yeah.
smoking because you just are like, wow, this is disgusting.
hmm
So
Massive difference. Um,
very
Joy,
approachable ways to change.
wow. First of all, wow. Thank you for taking the time. I haven't even touched the surface of the things that we could probably talk about. I mean, even just in the field of dentistry, but also probably all the other things you've gleaned from the knowledge that you just consistently seem so hungry for. Um, we should I would love to work on you on with you on getting some education for these Bright Smiles kits.
Hmm.
I'd like to talk to you more about this initiative in general and see if we can do something in maybe even your state with this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, what's something that I didn't ask you that I should have?
Oh, what about the future of dentistry?
Okay.
It's a big question, but what are things that you think in our lifetime, that we're going to see happening that aren't happening right now?
What? Okay. Go ahead. Please answer that. I'm curious.
Um, I think we're going to be able to I mean, we already are starting to be able to regrow bone, but I think we're going to get there to the point where periodontal disease isn't just like a slow declining death sentence of bone. Um, I, I think we will, and I think we need to keep our eyes and ears open, and um, keep looking into that. I think we're finding out so much more about beneficial bacteria and just like the oral system, like coming off of Dr. Larkin's meeting. Um, yeah, I really think we're going to be finding more cures. We're going to be having less inflammation, less sickness, less cavities. How about that?
Yeah. Wh- What about technology?
Technology in dentistry. Um, I mean, I think at some point, I think we're going to get away from shots. I think that is such a caveman way of going about things, that I think we're going to be able to get away from it somehow. And my
Hmm.
absolute dream as a hygienist is to figure out a way to not have to do periodontal probing. I hate it. I mean, we need the info. We always need the info. It's not something I'm willing to not do, but it is tedious,
Yeah. Talk about what is it, 32 times 6?
right?
Yeah.
um,
That's
yeah,
just one time. Yeah.
exactly. So you're just poking that many times, and I had this idea, and if anyone wants to steal it and develop it, they totally can. This one's a freebie. It's on the house. I had this idea where, like, what if somebody swished with something, and then you somehow like put this like bite plate in their mouth, and then it was able to determine like how deep this liquid went under their gums, and it gave you like a perfect readout of how much bone was there, like in 3D. It probably would be like a toxic liquid. Um,
I mean,
so that's
why
where I'm at.
not? That's like that's actually a brilliant idea.
Right? Like that would just be like such a quick thing and such an accurate thing, and you wouldn't need calibration of how we all decide the probe.
Hmm.
We wouldn't have to stab the patient, because I do think like, moving the probe around, like, we're spreading bacteria.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll say, like, we'll use LBR before you probe. Like, that's a good idea. And my other idea, and you can also have
Right at the end of the podcast. Oh, did she come back? Oh, she's back.
I'm back. Okay, sorry about
Okay,
that. I
sorry about
took
that.
a
Go
little trip
ahead.
apparently. Okay, so my
What's so I didn't hear any of your second idea. I'm very curious.
oh man, I already told you all about it. You missed. No, I'm kidding. So my other idea, and this would be like really easy, but like you wear loops when you're working, and are
I
they
hope every dentist does.
the prism ones?
They're the ones that break your neck. Yes.
Oh, they're the break your neck ones. Okay. Well,
Yeah, you have to go like this and look at things.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, with any loops, it would be great if you had like a live action Bluetooth system where whatever you're seeing at the magnification that you're seeing, the patient is also seeing on the ceiling directly above you, like everything you look
Does
at.
that not exist?
I mean, it might, but I don't have it, so I
So
need
it
someone
doesn't exist.
that doesn't exist in Joy's world. Well, no, like it needs to be like accessible enough and affordable enough that it's not like fancy thing. Like I think patients should be like at least more than a third, at least a third of their decision making process when it comes to their health. Um, but they don't know what they can't see.
Yeah,
So
and I mean they can't see anything. I mean,
yeah,
how often do you look inside? Well, I don't know. I guess someone could look inside pretty
yeah.
consistently, but the average person doesn't.
Yeah, it's hard to see. And I mean, I'll clean somebody's teeth and go in and take an intraoral picture afterwards, and I'll be like, oh, wow, not sure how I missed that entire time. So, really, every time you lay eyes on the teeth, you might see something you missed before. So
It's
yeah,
brilliant.
somebody can have those two ideas. Maybe that's what I'm telling your listeners is here's some free ideas. Go make it happen. Um, remember where it came from because I'd really like a generous discount on the first one.
Discount. I love how humble you are. Lovely. Joy, thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna
Yeah,
bug you again. Probably
I hope you
for
do.
more succinct topics. And we can deep dive into them. Where if the people want to find you, if there's a young hygienist, a young dentist, someone or an older creator of technology,
Mhm.
where do they find you? How do they find you?
I am on Instagram. I'm Joy Davis RDH on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as well. Uh, Facebook hasn't been my friend though. Like I had tons of friends and connections, and then somehow I violated community standards. I don't think I did. I think I got hacked because I'm over 40 and I'm in that age group now where that happens.
Huh.
Um, but anyways, so Facebook isn't a
I'm
great way to
sorry.
contact me, but Instagram is fantastic.
Okay.
Otherwise, I do provide training for air polishing machines, and my website is called or it's www.skipthescrape.com. So that's
Love it.
another where you can contact me on there. But I would love to hear from people because that's how you keep learning. Even if someone says you're really stupid and I disagree with you, like that's something worth listening to and considering, you know?
Amen. To staying stupid. Thank you so much for your time, Joy. I'm not going to spend any more of your evening, and all of my blessing to your kids and your husband and your parents. I
Thank
hope you
you.
have the best week and the best weekend. Okay.
All right, you too. All right, we'll
Ciao.
talk soon. All right,
Mhm.
bye.